Hi guys, it's Stephanie and welcome back to Yaya's Reading Nook. Today we are going to talk about 3 books I read in February. I know, 3 books in February. Here's my excuse. It was a short month. That's all I got. I mean, the books weren't that long, but they were interesting and I got into them. The first one I'm going to talk about is the one that I read for the in-person book club at Parnassus Bookstore in Nashville. And it is one I had heard good things about and bad things about. So when I got it, I was like, okay, if I don't like it, I'll take it with me to McKay's when I go for my birthday trip. But I liked it. So it's The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. And this tells the story of a group of people in a place called Pottstown, Pennsylvania in 1972. There are some African-American people, there are white people, there are, I want to say maybe some Mexican people, I can't remember. But it's just their lives during this season of time. And when one of the people, one of the women in the town is accosted by a man who always thought she was rude to him in high school, and he was going to show her what he was. A young boy tries to get him off of her and ends up throwing him. I think it was he threw him across the room or something. And then he bent down and is trying to help the woman, and the doctor runs and gets the sheriff, and the sheriff chases the boy, and the boy gets hurt. And they end up putting him in an institution. Well, his uncle's not having any part of that. So he spends the rest of the book coming up with a plan to get his nephew out. Now we have Jewish Americans, we have Polish Jews, Lithuanian Jews, Israeli Jews, American Jews, I guess you could say. And a lot of those don't get along. But then we have the up the hill African Americans versus the down the hill whites, who some are racist KKK members, and they're called out by the big Jewish lady, the one whose father ran the Heaven and Earth grocery store, and when he died, she inherited it because she was his only child. And her husband was Jewish, and he ran the theaters in town. So it was very engaging for me. I was really engaged in all their lives except the dog's. I was hoping he would fall off the face of the earth. And when it opens up, there is somebody, I want to say they found a open sewer line, and I had forgotten about that until someone brought it up at book club. But you go the whole story, and then at the very end you find out who the dead body is in the sewer line. It was a really good book. I would recommend it if you like historical fiction that's not 1800s or 1940s World War II. Just a really good read. Like I said, I gave it a 4. The next one came from the library, and it's It's a historical fiction called The Collector of Burned Books by Rosanna M. White. And this is about a man and woman. The man's name is something. Christian. And he is German. He is a professor. And his wife had died of, I want to say, cancer several years earlier. Or a while, like when their son was like 1 and now he's like 6. I'm sorry about my ring lights, just getting into everything. But his little boy, Felix, was born without his right eye and one of his eyes and one of his ears. And so when Hitler took over in Germany, he said any child or any person that had a birth defect of any kind, they needed to send them to this certain place, and he knew that they were going to, Christian knew that, is it Christian or Christopher? Christian knew that his son would be killed. So he faked his son's death and sent him to live with his uncle in Paris. I think it was in Paris. Well, now he has been sent to Paris to go through the library of burned books. And his first night there, he meets his bodyguard named Krauss, who was actually a 20-something kid who's gung-ho on being in Hitler's army and wiping out the bad people and getting rid of these burned books, these books that have no business being on the shelves, like books that were written by German dissidents, or books that were written by Jews or any other ethnicity that wasn't Aryan. And he meets this woman named Corinne Bastien. Now, Corinne's mother was a PhD teacher at a college, and Corinne is a PhD teacher at a college. And he has been sent also to look for her mother, and her mother, as she tells him later, is far gone from here. And this just brings in how they interact with each other, how they became friends, and were able to kind of fool her neighbors, because he would come over with books for her to read, and that's what people saw. What it really was her taking in Joseph, who was his uncle, and Felix, his son, so he could see his little boy on a regular basis. And one night, Christian is shot by his commander because he would not renounce the man that they had basically went in and grabbed him. And Corinne had Felix out with her, and the excuse if she was stopped in public was, he is my nephew, I am watching him for a little while, he will be going back, wherever. But no one ever asked her. But she was really frowned upon for working because she was a woman and she was a Jew. But they let her, Christian somehow talk them into letting her keep working, because she's spoke a lot of different languages. And she was reading German books with her class and discussing them. Now, the one thing that I will say about this book that I did not realize till about a third of the way through is this is Christian historical fiction. But you don't see it's not blatantly in your face. So if you're not a Christian, if you're not religious, you can probably still read it and get something out of it. I enjoyed it. And he does get shot, and she takes him into her house and brings him. They have a secret doctor that comes and takes care of him, checks for, see if the bullets and where their bullet went through. He's patched him up, and he has to recuperate at her house, or at her apartment. And so her uncle comes and helps out too. Her uncle coming over is nothing new to the people around them. So anyway, I think I gave this a 4. It was a really good book. I encourage you, whether you're Christian or not, if you're a historical fiction lover, to read it, because it's not beating you in the head with proselytizing, and there are good points in it to where he prays to God to watch over Corinne, because he's kind of butted into her life, and he's realized he's made a mistake doing that. So, and it turns out good in the end. So anyway, my last one is the second book in the Vacation Mystery series. It's by Catherine Mack, and it's No One Was Supposed to Die at This Wedding. Now, this is about Eleanor, and she has she's on set with her sister at the making of the movie When in Rome. I think that's the name of it. And her best friend is playing her. And there's another man named Fred playing Connor. If you read the first book and you remember, Connor was the ex-boyfriend that she was planning on killing, and somebody else tried to kill him. Okay, so in here, someone is trying to kill her friend Emma. Reasons we don't know why. Now, on top of this big wedding, it's at Catalina Allen. On top of that, and then finding out somebody's trying to kill Emma. A few other people get killed, but they're cast members, so they probably, in the killer's mind, don't count, because they're really wanting Emma and Frank. Now, Frank owes a bunch of money to somebody who was on the island, and Frank's supposed to be really, really well off because he's been an actor for many, many years, and he's a lot older than her, and she's always had a crush on him. Emma, not Eleanor. And so the ruse was to marry Emma to get her money to pay off his debt collectors, because he's got a gambling problem, and it doesn't seem to be working out that way. Well, people are dying. People are getting threatened. There's going to be a wedding. Hopefully, the wedding will take place and all will be off before the hurricane hits, because these people aren't going anywhere. They're staying. Frank is determined. They're having the wedding on Catalina Island. It was just as good as the other one. This is really cute end papers. You see, there's Eleanor and her sister. This is Connor, Emma, and somebody's cat. Forgive the sirens outside my window. We live about a block from a police station, and there's always sirens. So, anyway, I gave this one a 4 also. So overall, 4, 8, 12 divided by 3, it was a 4-star read for that month. Have you read any of those? What did you think of them? If not, I would say if you're going to read this one, I have the other book put up. This one, I have the other book put up, but look for Catherine Mack's first one. No one was supposed to die. Every time I go on vacation, someone dies. Read that, read this one. The third one is coming out in a couple of months, I believe. So I am caught up on that series. I'm ready to read the third one, and I just can't wait. But see all these books back here? They all need to be read too. There's books over here that need to be read. There's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 boxes of books that need to be read. I'm going to start curating them because I've got way more than I will ever read. Unless I retire really soon, I'll live to be 100 and my eyes work. If not, when I retire and I go blind, I'll make somebody read them to me because, not doing that. Anyway, what I'm reading for this month, the only one I know for sure is, sorry about that, one that's for my in-person book club at Parnassus, and it's something about a door. I can't remember, but the lady that runs the historical book club, she's read it before, and she said it's a quick read, so I'm hoping she's right. Hoping I can get to it today and tomorrow, because today's Sunday, I don't work on the weekends, and tomorrow I'm off. So, anyway, if you stuck around this long, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed yet, please think about subscribing. Give me a thumbs up. Hit the little bell, wherever it is, I don't know. And how about leave a comment below telling me what you plan to read in March, because it's March 1st. I don't do TBRs. I just grab a book and read it if I'm in the mood for it. But yeah, tell me what you plan on reading. Maybe I've got it and we can buddy read. I do have a big book haul coming up. That I'm getting ready to start working on that one. And I have one that I'm working on for a future video. I've got to read 8 books for that, so it won't be out anytime soon. So, all that to say, you guys enjoy your Sunday or whatever day you're watching this on, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.